Chloe had hacked her way through 3 years of thorns and overtime, and at last she stood as Sterling's vice president. She was certain the succession race was in the bag after all. She was the only candidate the chairman had ever privately endorsed. Yet at the decisive ballot her husband, fellow senior executive Hunter, delivered the swing vote to the ingenue in his own division, Sophie. The last vote, Hunter. The executive conference room was so quiet a paperclip could have been heard hitting carpet. 30-odd officers pivoted toward the man at the far end of the table, impeccable in charcoal wool, face carved into neutral. Chloe's heart lurched. She stared at the hand that held the ballot card. The knuckles were white. That single card would crown the next heir. She had assumed that vote was bedrock. He was her husband. For 3 married years she had stayed up until dawn ghostwriting his deal decks, taking arrows meant for him. But Hunter looked down, scratched 2 words. Sophie. The wall screen refreshed. Sophie, 16. Chloe, 15. She had lost. Felled by the man she went home with. Scattered applause broke out. Sophie rose as if she'd read the script weeks ago, smiled sweetly, and said, "Quinn everyone for trusting me, and thank Hunter for that final show of support." Then she angled her head toward Chloe, red lips curling in the shape of a harmless rabbit. "Alex, so sorry, 1 vote short. Better luck next round." Chloe didn't move. She searched Hunter's eyes for one flicker of remorse. He only looked away, as though brushing off static. At that instant it felt as if someone had reached into her ribcage and ripped out her heart while it was still beating. "Chloe, do you honestly think I stole your chair?" Sophie's voice floated again, laced with an almost flirtatious whine. "I've always respected you, but you're just so intense. The company needs a leader who can balance all sides, right?" Translation: she wins, then rubs salt in the wound. Chloe's gaze went arctic. "So you're saying I'm unfit?" Sophie fluttered her lashes in instant denial. "Only stating facts. If someone chooses to take it personally, I can't help that." "You." "Chloe, the meeting is still in session." Hunter's tone was low, cold, a slap delivered without raising a hand. Silence slammed down. Chloe finally understood. This wasn't her loss, it was a calculated ambush. She closed her eyes, then smiled. "All right. Message received." She unclipped her executive badge and set it on the table like a poker chip. "If you guys want to play hard, ante up, I'm all in." She turned and walked out, leaving 30 speechless executives behind. No one noticed that, once past the door, her nails had sliced crescents into her palms. Sophie never imagined victory would have a 3-day expiration date. She had barely warmed the leather of her new corner suite chair and was about to ink her first VP-level promotion contract when her assistant burst in, pale. "Sophie, something's wrong." Sophie frowned. "Define wrong." The assistant lowered her voice. "Hunter's accounts are frozen. Risk management just got word some rebate scheme in the Starlight project is under forensic audit. The entire task force unit has been hauled in for interviews." "What did you say?" Sophie shot up so fast the chair slammed into the desk with a dull crack. She grabbed her phone and dialed Hunter. No answer. She tried again, powered off. Anxiety spread through her chest like spilled ink in water. He swore every document was sanitized. How can audit still find a trail? Muttering, she snatched her handbag and headed for finance. Before she crossed the threshold, her phone buzzed with a finance feed breaking alert. Breaking. Sterling Group exec suspected of channeling kickbacks, internal compliance unit on site. Core project files leaked, fund flows anomalous. Hand trembling, she almost dropped the device. Top comment: "She's not trying to win anymore, she's decided you have to lose." A chill climbed Sophie's spine. She bolted from the office, shouting, "Find Chloe, now." The assistant hesitated. Taylor, just re-entered the boardroom as majority shareholder. "Come again." Sophie screamed. She bought out Farpeak's sterling stake. Filed 15 minutes ago. She now outranks the Rowan family. The board recognizes her as controlling shareholder. For a heartbeat Sophie couldn't breathe, hammered by the realization. Chloe hadn't surrendered. She had simply swapped entrances, stepping over the boardroom ceiling instead of the doorway. That afternoon an emergency session was called. Chloe walked in wearing jet black tailoring, a slim folder tucked under one arm, every stride calm and precise. Executives fell mute. She sat, flipped the file open, and spoke as though reading a grocery list. Item 1. In the Starlight Project, Hunter opened a covert rebate account and leaked bid floors. Internal audit has commenced. Compliance is involved. Item 2. Sophie's educational credentials on file do not match her verified transcript. She altered employment dates multiple times. All executive and operational authority is suspended pending verification. Sophie slammed both palms on the mahogany. Chloe, have you lost your mind? She jabbed a finger, voice shrill. I was elected by this board. You can't touch me. Chloe lifted her gaze, voice gentle as silk sliding over steel. Controlling shareholder, interim board chair, head of the personnel committee. Tell me, what exactly can't I do? Not a single director dared exhale. Sophie stood frozen, finally grasping that the day she collected 16 votes she had simply walked into a trap baited with her own arrogance. Chloe's opening gambit had been a mirage of defeat. Sophie's victory lap had exposed every card she held. While Chloe spent 3 years building the board's respect, she had also built the cage. 3 winters ago Chloe still remembered. 3 a.m., floor lamp humming, office lights the only constellation left in Midtown. Starlight numbers carpeted the carpet. Her eyes burned, but she kept the model pinned to the 3rd decimal. Chloe, I could do this. I just can't do it without you, Hunter said, half sitting on the desk, cappuccino extra dry in hand, smile tender and exhausted. In that instant she believed charging the ramparts for him was destiny. They had been married less than a year. Tongues wagged that she'd married down, that he was a resume riding her coattails. She took every dart, vouched for him in the boardroom, stapled her reputation to his promotion package. Once, lips against her ear, he had whispered, Chloe, you are the safest card I will ever hold. As long as you're in my hand, I can't lose. She had believed so completely she had handed him the entire deck. Now she knew, he had never wanted to win the game, he had wanted to play it with her as the stake. Chloe closed the folder and swept the room with a wintry glance. A personnel restructure will be circulated within 72 hours. Anyone under review is expected to cooperate. Otherwise, consequences will be self-inflicted. Each syllable fell like a blade. Sophie's voice cracked. Aren't you afraid people will say you're settling scores? You're burning every bridge. Chloe looked back, expression as smooth as glass. You're assuming you have a face I still need to tear off. The meeting ended in a hush broken only by the staccato of her Louboutins receding down the corridor, measured, unhurried, a metronome counting down to retribution. Back in her office she stopped at the floor-to-ceiling window, gazing over the neon arteries of the island. On the desk lay the document she had signed days earlier, Farpeak's share transfer agreement. The instant her fountain pen lifted, Sterling had changed dynasties. She powered her phone off and murmured to the glass, "The hunter's back. Time for the coyotes to scatter." Next morning Chloe stepped into the boardroom and felt the static before she saw it. Directors clustered in 2s and 3s, conversations dying as she entered. Sophie sat in the corner, face bloodless, eyes 2 coals of disbelief. Hunter didn't even dare look her in the eye. "Everybody," Sam said, voice eerily calm, "I'm sure you all know what happened yesterday." Old director Walter cleared his throat. "Taylor, your comeback caught us off guard. But those accusations you made yesterday, they're not accusations," Chloe cut in, pulling a thick folder from her briefcase. "They're facts." She slid the first document to the center of the table. Hunter's irregularities in the Starlight Project, bank transfers, wire records, and audio. Hunter's head snapped up. "You recorded me. You should have seen this day coming 3 years ago." Without glancing at him, Chloe pushed forward a second folder. Sophie's forged education. Here's her verified transcript. The overseas MBA she brags about. 3-month language course. Sophie shot to her feet. "How did you get that? Want to know?" Chloe finally looked at her, a cold curve on her lips. "Because for the last 3 months I've been waiting for today." The executive conference room was so quiet a paperclip could have been heard hitting carpet. Avery spoke. "The Farpeak hostile takeover wasn't improvisation. From the day you started scheming, I was drafting the blueprint. Acquisition, investigation, evidence, 3 months spent mapping every skeleton in your closets. Walter couldn't help asking, then why resign? Because only when they thought they'd won would they show their whole hand. Chloe's tone carried a trace of mockery. Sophie, you really believed you could do whatever you wanted once I was gone? You never noticed every step you took was already numbered. Sophie's face drained from white to green. You set us up. Set you up. Chloe laughed softly. You jumped into the grave all by yourselves. I merely dug it. She rose, walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, back to the room. 3 years I swallowed every insult, gave ground at every turn. You mistook me for a soft touch. But you forgot I didn't climb from analyst to vice president on luck. She turned, her gaze swept every director. Now the rules change. I write them. Rule 1. Anyone involved in violations is suspended pending investigation. Rule 2. All major decisions require my sign-off. Rule 3. I alone control every hire and fire. Someone muttered, isn't that a bit? A bit what? Chloe's voice iced over. Too ruthless? Too unsympathetic? She strode back, palms flattening on the table as she leaned forward. Tell me, when you colluded to push me out, did sympathy cross your minds? Not a whisper answered her. Straightening, she adjusted her blazer. Starting today, Sterling's entire middle and upper management will be audited. The org chart gets shuffled. Sophie, stripped of duties, pending inquiry. Hunter, assets frozen, full cooperation required. Sophie slammed both hands on mahogany. Chloe, have you lost it? Who do you think you are, Empress? Chloe met her fury with glacial calm. I'm majority shareholder and effective controller of this company. Who am I? Decide for yourself. You're abusing power for personal vendetta. Sophie's finger trembled mid-air. You can't stand that Hunter and I are together. Oh. Chloe arched a brow. And what does you two being together have to do with me? Sophie froze. Avery spoke again. I'm already divorced from Hunter. He can date whoever he likes. But her voice turned razor-sharp. Touch my company, undermine my interests, and it becomes my business. She sat back, calm restored. Understand this, Sophie. I'm coming after you not because you stole my man, but because your stupidity is in my way. A director ventured, Cameron, fresh off your return, moves this drastic. Chloe merely glanced at him. I'm simply swapping your rulebook for mine. The sentence rippled through the room like a stone dropped in still water. By the time the board dispersed, news had streaked through every floor. Employees whispered in pantries and over cubicle walls, some gleeful, others fearing collateral damage. Chloe's assistant knocked. Cameron, it's everywhere. People are talking. Let them. Chloe didn't look up from her documents. Nothing I did belongs in the dark. They say Ms. Rowan is calling reporters to issue a statement. Chloe lifted her head, a meaningful smile forming. Let her. I'd love to see what flower she paints. That afternoon Chloe's phone buzzed non-stop. Friends, co-workers, college classmates she hadn't heard from in years. Chloe, rumor has it you're back on the warpath. Cameron, congrats, Dylan Energy. Boss move. We're reposting every article on Instagram. She answered each politely, knowing most were spectators. The real battle had only begun. Night settled, Manhattan glimmered beyond her corner suite. On the desk lay a fresh equity report. Sterling's stock had wavered, but investors liked her return more than they feared boardroom bloodletting. The phone rang. Lincoln. Chloe, today was nuclear, the litigator said, worry threading his voice. Even with proof, going that hard could make more enemies. She chuckled. I've got nothing left to lose. I'm saying cornered rats bite. Then let them leap, she answered, serene. The higher the jump, the harder the landing. She hung up, walked to the window, watching sparse midnight traffic. 3 years earlier she had stood here too, then waiting for Hunter so they could grab late-night ramen, dreaming they'd conquer Wall Street side by side, grow old together. Sentiment felt absurd now. Her phone rang again, unknown number. Cameron, this is a reporter from Financial Weekly. Could we schedule? No interviews. She cut the call. But that was only the opener. Within an hour a dozen outlets phoned. Word had seeped outside finance circles. Next morning, before she reached Sterling, her assistant messaged, "Cameron, the internet's on fire, look at trending hashtag." She opened Weibo. Ranked third was #Sterling female director returns with force hash. Inside the tag were wild speculations. Insider: Chloe's back for revenge on cheating ex and mistress. Hostile shakeup. Largest shareholder boots exec VP. Real-life palace fight, ex-wife versus homewrecker, who survives? Chloe laughed aloud. Their creativity turned a standard takeover into primetime melodrama. One comment caught her eye: strike the serpent at its 7-inch mark, this Cameron knows her aim. Exactly my thought, she mused. At headquarters the atmosphere had shifted. Employees eyed her with new or former slights replaced by caution. In the elevator 2 junior analysts whispered, "Cameron just obliterated Sophie. Original beats knockoff, why should the real deal cede ground? Evidence was brutal, Rowan's fraud is viral." Chloe listened, expressionless, inwardly satisfied. Narrative flowed her way. 10 a.m., mid-meeting, her secretary entered. "Cameron, reporters downstairs wanting comment. Tell security to escort them off property. Also, Ms. Rowan's attorney has arrived asking to meet." Chloe capped her pen. "He can wait." After the session adjourned, she received the lawyer in her office, 40-something, tailored suit, grave expression. "Cameron, I represent Sophie. We protest yesterday's character assassination and professional slander." She raised a hand. "Assassination? Slander? Be specific." "I'm casting doubt." Chloe pulled a folder from her drawer. "Here's Sophie's verified transcript and her early work history. Tell me, where exactly is the doubt?" "I'm simply stating facts." The lawyer took the file, flipped through a few pages, and his complexion changed. "Avery, as for character, when did I ever say she had a character problem? I only said she's incompetent. Isn't that the truth?" The lawyer closed the folder and cleared his throat. "Even so, what you've done could constitute malicious competition." "Malicious competition?" Chloe laughed. "I'm the majority shareholder, she's an employee. I'm reorganizing personnel, call that malicious? Then every boss on earth is a crook." The lawyer clearly hadn't expected Chloe to be this tough and stammered. Chloe stood, walked up to him. "Counselor, I suggest you go home and reread corporate and labor law. Every move I've made is fully compliant. It's your side that has a lot of explaining to do. For instance, how did Sophie pass her interview with a fake degree? And how did Hunter use his position for personal gain? The court will find those questions fascinating." The lawyer's face turned even uglier. Chloe sat back down. "If Ms. Rowan truly believes she's been wronged, she's welcome to sue. I'll see her in court. But let me warn you," her voice iced over, "don't try to manipulate public opinion, and don't bother with the pity act. I don't buy it." The lawyer slunk away. That afternoon Chloe received an unexpected call. "Chloe, it's Mrs. Mother." Mrs. Mother was Hunter's mother. She had once doted on Chloe, but after the divorce the calls stopped. "Mrs. Mother," Chloe answered, voice layered with emotion. "Chloe, Auntie knows Hunter wronged you, but for the sake of all those years, could you give him one more chance?" Mrs. Mother's voice cracked. "He's drinking every day, he's wrecked." Chloe was silent a moment. "I'm not taking revenge. I'm protecting my interests. But this will destroy him." "Auntie," Chloe cut in, "when I was bullied for 3 straight years, who protected me? Now that I can finally protect myself, why should I pull my punches?" Mrs. Mother sighed. "Chloe, you've changed." "Yes, I have," Chloe answered calmly. "I'm no longer the doormat who swallowed every insult." After hanging up, Chloe felt a weight on her chest, not from softening, but from regret. She had once loved this family with all her heart, yet here they were. At dusk she was packing up when her assistant brought a fresh report. "Cameron, online buzz today is huge, and most voices are backing you." Chloe skimmed the pages. Netizens had written, "Go Cameron. Why should the mistress get promoted? Workplaces should reward skill, not connections. A true modern woman, she built her own empire instead of clinging to a man." There were skeptics, but they were drowned out. Chloe closed the file, satisfied. Her read on the public had been spot on. People aren't blind. She was heading out when her phone rang again. An unfamiliar voice. Cameron, I'm the editor-in-chief of *Startup World Star. We'd like an exclusive headline. Dylan, the ultimate career comeback for today's woman. Chloe considered. Possible, but I have conditions. Name them. Business only. No personal drama. Deal. She hung up and gazed at the darkening skyline, a satisfied curve on her lips. The game had only just begun, and she already held the initiative. Next move. Watch the opponent scramble. Next morning, Sophie realized the situation had slipped from her grasp. She'd planned a social media campaign to whitewash herself and paint Chloe as a spurned, love-crazed shrew. Before she could post, the internet exploded. Someone had excavated her murky past, college papers ghostwritten, jobs landed through nepotism, even the clinic records of her cosmetic surgeries. Worse, chat logs between her and Hunter surfaced, brimming with venom about Chloe. That woman's all work, zero femininity. She struts like she's queen, but she only holds her job because of her husband. Once I'm secure, my first order of business is booting her off the board. The screenshots spread faster than a virus, reposted tens of thousands of times within hours. The comment sections were a unanimous slaughter, so this is Homewrecker 101. Disgusting. Trash talk backstage, then get exposed, karma's a bitch. Call Chloe unfeminine? All you've got is cheap perfume, honey. Then people found her alt accounts, packed with early insults toward Chloe. At Chloe, stop acting pure, you're just a dumped loser. Some people never grow up, still playing ingenue at their age, cringe. At Chloe, your husband stopped loving you, so why cling to the company? Pathetic. Those vicious lines were screenshotted and reposted, sealing her fate as the evil mistress. Only then did Sophie grasp Chloe's true power. This woman excelled not only in boardrooms but in the arena of public opinion. Panicking, Sophie paid for takedowns and drafted clarifications, but the tide was irreversible. The internet never forgets. Once tagged, the label sticks. That afternoon her lawyer called. Ms. Rowan, the outlook is grim. Cameron's evidence is solid, and public sentiment is overwhelmingly against you. What do I do? Sophie's voice trembled on the verge of tears. My advice, apologize publicly and seek reconciliation. Apologize? Sophie shrieked. Why should I? Because you have no alternatives, the lawyer replied coolly. Dragging this out helps no one. Meanwhile, Hunter wasn't faring any better. As the other headline act of the scandal, he was dragged into the limelight too. Reporters unearthed his skeletons, abusing authority for profit, betraying his wife, even past stunts he thought were buried. More devastating, business partners began severing ties. No one wanted to shake hands with a pariah. Hunter, regrettably, we're suspending cooperation. Given recent events, distance seems wise. Man, you stepped in it this time. We can't help you. Calls kept coming, each a variation on abandonment. Hunter stared at his emptied desk, tasting desertion for the first time. He recalled Chloe's warning. You thought I lost, truth was, I hadn't swung yet. Now her strike had landed, precise and fatal. She aimed to reclaim the firm, and, while she was at it, incinerate their reputations and futures. That night Hunter hunched alone at a bar, knocking back one single malt after another. Alcohol ferried him back to a night 3 years ago, Chloe working overtime with him till dawn, sharing instant noodles, polishing pitches, dreaming together. Back then her eyes sparkled, her smile warm, her trust absolute. Now she was ice cold, gaze razor sharp, every word carving vital organs. Hunter! A familiar voice intruded. He looked up to find his college classmate Leo sliding into the opposite seat. What are you doing here? Leo asked. I've been hearing. Say nothing. Hunter waved him off. I know what's out there. Leo exhaled. You're in deep this time. Chloe's play, it was brutal. I underestimated her, Hunter said with a bitter smile. I thought she was just a gentle woman. I never imagined she had such a ruthless side. Why did you two end up divorcing in the first place? Leo asked curiously. Hunter was silent for a long time, then spoke slowly. Because I was greedy. I wanted the company and I wanted Sophie. I thought I could have both, but, in the end you lost the one who mattered most, Emery said. Hunter nodded, his eyes a little lost. Looking back, I probably never really knew her. I thought she couldn't live without me, thought she would keep giving in forever. But she was just waiting for the right moment to strike back. Right. Hunter raised his glass. She won. Completely. Just then his phone rang. It was his mother. Do you have any idea what Chloe went through these past 3 years? His mother's voice was choked. How many chances did she give up for you? How much humiliation did she endure? And you jumped straight into another woman's arms. Mom, I didn't mean to. You cheated on her with Sophie, and you call that unintentional? Hunter fell completely silent. His mother went on, I called Chloe today, trying to put in a good word for you. She said she's not taking revenge on him, just protecting her own interests. Hunter's chest felt as though a sledgehammer had slammed into it. He couldn't breathe. Meanwhile, Chloe was in her apartment, sipping red wine and watching the financial news. The anchor was reporting Sterling's latest developments in a neutral tone about the boardroom storm, but Chloe could hear the slant. The press clearly favored her return rather than sympathizing with Hunter and Sophie's fate. Her phone buzzed, her best friend, Sienna. Chloe, you were sensational. Sienna's voice rang with glee. I just saw the broadcast, everyone online is singing your praises. Nothing to praise. I did what had to be done, Chloe answered calmly. Stop pretending you're over the moon, admit it. Sienna laughed. Sophie's being ripped to shreds, Hunter is public enemy number 1. Sweet revenge, girl. Chloe was quiet a moment, then said, Sienna, you know what I feel most right now? Not elation, just exhaustion. Exhaustion? Sienna was surprised. You won. Why tired? Because this victory came too late. Chloe exhaled softly. If I'd had today's guts and leverage 3 years ago, maybe none of this pain would have happened. Sienna nodded in understanding. Let the past stay past. What matters is you have the steering wheel now. Yes, the steering wheel, Chloe echoed. For the first time in 3 years, I feel in control of my own fate. After hanging up, Chloe stepped onto the terrace overlook, gazing at the city's glittering lights. 3 months had passed since Chloe had seized Sterling's most battered subsidiary, Shenghua Industrial, and turned a profit no one thought possible. When the finance wing released the quarterly numbers, shockwaves rippled through the group. From drowning in red to black in 12 weeks, a miracle by Wall Street standards. Chloe stood in Shenghua's executive conference room facing a dozen department heads, her expression as calm as if discussing the weather. Everyone, last quarter's results are out. She flipped open the folder. Sales exceeded plan by 120%, marketing landed 3 marquee clients, RDS new line is already in mass production. Around the table, people exchanged uneasy looks. 3 months earlier they had sneered behind her back, labeling her the office ornament. Now, nobody dared doubt this soft-spoken woman. Director. She glanced at the middle-aged man slouched in the corner, one of the 3 who had voted against her. Status on the South China project you mentioned? Director straightened, visibly nervous. Cameron, the contracts are signed, 15% above forecast. Sit, please. I don't bite. A quiet chuckle swept the room, tension evaporating. Cameron, sales rep Sterling piped up, your marketing angle is unbelievable. We aren't chasing orders anymore, customers come begging us. Chloe smiled slightly. Business is war. Sun Tzu said, subdue the enemy without fighting. Sell them the fear of missing out, not a discount. Did you major in management, Cameron? Someone asked. Psychology. Chloe checked her watch. Meeting adjourned. Hit your numbers and year-end bonuses will be generous. After the others left, director lingered. Cameron, may I speak privately? His face was a storm of emotions. Chloe motioned for him to sit. I owe you an apology, he said, bowing deeply. 3 months ago I voted no at the board. I assumed I was a connected airhead parachuted in? Chloe finished, voice even. He flushed. Yes. But you proved me wrong, completely. Larry, she said, surprising him with his first name, know why I didn't flex muscles before the vote? He shook his head. Because no one should peak too soon. Flash power early and you breed envy. Envy can't be tamed. But fear can be transmuted into respect. She turned from the window. I wanted everyone to taste the cost of opposition and the payoff of allegiance. Cameron, your vision humbles me, he said earnestly. I'm officially requesting to rejoin your team at your command. Chloe smiled. Larry, I never treated the three of you as enemies. In business there are no permanent foes, only permanent interests. I was simply waiting for you to come home. That afternoon Sterling's share price set another record. Reporters speculated what magic the Ice Queen had cast on a dying unit, while inside the firm employees had coined a nickname for her, Crafty Cam, for her knack of wringing profit from chaos as easily as squeezing water from a towel. That evening Chloe sat in her office overlooking the city. Assistant knocked and entered. Cameron, a Wall Street Journal reporter would like an exclusive. Decline, she said without looking up. We court press later. Also, Mr. Sterling is downstairs, been waiting 2 hours. Chloe's hand stilled. Tell him I'm unavailable. Understood. Wait. She lifted her eyes. From now on, if he comes, I'm not in. Assistant nodded and withdrew. Chloe closed the file and leaned back, eyes shut. She knew the hardest confrontation still lay ahead. Next morning Chloe stepped out of her town car and found the usual figure blocking her path. Hunter leaned against the lobby glass, bloodshot eyes evidence of a sleepless night. His hair was disheveled, the custom suit rumpled, far from the polished VP image. Chloe, he said, hope flickering. She stopped, calm. What do you want? To talk. Just a few minutes. She glanced at her watch. I have a board briefing. Then tonight. I'll wait. Unnecessary. She skirted him toward the turnstile. He hurried after her. The situation wasn't what you think. Let me explain. She halted, turned, and looked at him. Mr. Sterling, please address me as Cameron. We're superior and subordinate now, observe protocol. Chloe, his tone carried a plea. Cameron. Her voice cooled. He drew a slow breath. Cameron. I'd like to discuss our personal issues. No personal issues. Avery stepped forward. If it's business, submit a meeting request through proper channels. Then I'm submitting one right now, Hunter said behind her. I'd like to speak with you alone about our past. Chloe stopped at the elevator and turned. Several employees had already noticed the tension and were stealing glances. The past. Chloe gave a soft laugh. Hunter, let the past stay where it is. I only care about the future. The doors slid open and she walked in. Hunter tried to follow, but she raised a hand. This lift is executive only. Please use the staff elevator. The doors sealed slowly, cutting off their line of sight. That evening Hunter was waiting downstairs again, 2 cappuccinos and a bouquet of white roses in hand. When Chloe emerged he was standing in the cold wind, face pale. Why are you still here? She asked, frowning. I told you I'd wait. He offered a cup. Your favorite, dry cappuccino, half sugar. She didn't take it. I quit caffeine. Then these are for you. He held out the roses. You always loved white roses. I prefer sunflowers now. The words left him frozen. You've changed. His voice cracked. No, I finally stopped pretending. Her gaze was crystal clear. Hunter, you thought you knew me, but you never really did. I admit I overlooked your feelings, but Chloe. Cameron, she corrected. He clenched his jaw. Fine, Cameron. I honestly want us to start over. I've already ended things with Sophie. I'm not interested in your private life, she cut in. Anything else? If not, I'm going home. Chloe, please, just give me 5 minutes to explain. His eyes glistened. I know I hurt you, but surely some feeling is still there. She studied him in silence, then spoke calmly. Hunter, do you know what I gained most in these 3 years? He shook his head. I learned how to let go. Her tone was even. You and she were my most successful discard. His face drained of color. You mean? I mean, thank you for teaching me sunk cost. She turned toward the parking garage. 3 years of time and affection is a heavy investment, but throwing more in would only deepen the loss. Chloe, he shouted after her. She neither paused nor looked back. I really know I was wrong. His voice echoed miserably in the cold. I'll wait, however long, for your forgiveness. At last she stopped, still facing away. Hunter, you still don't get it. I'm not angry, I'm saying goodbye. Head high, she walked off without another glance. Behind her, Hunter dropped to his knees, white roses scattering across the pavement. 6 months later, Sterling Group hosted its most lavish annual gala. Crystal chandeliers glittered over the grand ballroom, champagne flowed, black tie gowns swept across the marble floor. Chloe, statuesque in a black evening gown, sat at the center of the dais, looking down on the crowd. She was no longer the woman who had once swallowed her pride to spare her husband embarrassment, nor the subdued vice president of half a year ago. Tonight she was Sterling's undisputed sovereign. Distinguished guests, colleagues, she began, her voice carrying to every corner, thank you for your dedication this past year. Sterling's achievements belong to each of you. Applause thundered. Avery continued, tonight I announce several personnel appointments. The room stilled, everyone knew this was the main event. Larry, promoted to CEO of Shenghua Industrial. Director mounted the stage, promotion contract in hand, and whispered, Cameron, Quinn for the opportunity. She smiled and nodded. One by one she announced further promotions, each met with enthusiastic applause. Finally, a few personal words. She set the papers aside. A year ago many dismissed me as an ornament, a vase elevated by nepotism. Tonight I tell you, Chloe is no one's accessory. The clapping surged even louder. Her gaze swept the floor and landed on Hunter in the back row, pale and hollow-eyed. For 6 months he had tried and failed to secure a meeting. The once crowned prince of the Hunter clan had been reduced to a sidelined staffer. Sophie had left the company long before. Rumor placed her abroad, but no one cared enough to verify. A reporter asked me the secret of my success, Avery said. I boiled it down to 3 lines. The hall held its breath. 1. When you thought I'd lost, I simply hadn't played my card. Light laughter rippled, heads nodded. 2. Losing to the other woman isn't terrifying, pretending to be clueless for 3 years is. The atmosphere shifted, everyone knew the story, yet hearing her state it aloud felt both daring and liberating. 3. I no longer want to be someone's wife, I want to be myself. The applause rose and refused to fade. Chloe lifted her glass. To our brighter future, cheers. Cheers, the crowd echoed. During the reception well-wishers lined up to clink glasses. She handled them effortlessly, smile never slipping. Cameron, a young reporter ventured, may we schedule an interview? Your journey has inspired millions online. Another day, she demurred. Tonight belongs to the team. Her assistant smoothly intercepted the pushier ones. When the banquet ended, Chloe stepped onto the terrace overlook alone, Manhattan glittering at her feet like a promise kept. Chloe. She didn't turn, she knew Hunter's voice. Yes, she asked, tone even. He kept a respectful distance. Congratulations, you truly are Sterling's queen now, Quinn. She still didn't look at him. Are you happy? He asked suddenly. She faced him at last. He looked older, defeat carved into every line. Happy? She chuckled softly. Was that the counterfeit affection you once gave me? Or the cheap sweetness Sophie offered you? He opened his mouth, but no words came. I don't chase happiness anymore, she said, turning to go. I chase freedom. If time could rewind, he called after her. She paused at the doors, never looking back. There's no rewind. You taught me one rule, never anchor my hopes in someone else. With that she re-entered the ballroom, leaving him alone in the night wind, tears finally spilling. Chloe strode toward the future, waiting beyond the lights, no one's shadow, no one's appendage. She was simply Chloe, queen of Sterling Group, a woman who would never again bow to love. Thank you for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If it moved you, please like and share. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful tales. See you next time.